All right, it's been over 5 years since my last full collection video, so I thought I'd do another one. This is the main collection here, the two main bookshelves. I've got probably 3 or 4 other locations of quite a few books. So there's a big Ashley Wood collection on a shelf that doesn't fit here, like it has higher capacity or like larger dimensions. Some like currently reading stuff, overflow, and then there's a shelf space for books that are kind of on the way out. I'll probably not sell them. I'll probably just give them away, drop them off at a secondhand store or something. Anyway, so I'm trying something out new here, so apologies if there's a lot of shake on the camera. I'm trying to do this hands-free so that I can actually pull out books and get a bit deeper into some of this stuff. I also noticed that last time my shelves were like really dusty, so I made an effort to kind of clean that up a bit this time because that's kind of gross. So this is, let's see. It used to be that I had one shelf that was like primarily my favorite books over the other, but it looks like now, yeah, I guess this is my primary shelf here. So on the top we have a bunch of smaller manga. Here's some chunkier manga and some sketchbooks. This is, I like to call this my cliffhanger shelf, but it's, the majority of it isn't. So, but it's like my Joe Madureira, Chris Bachalo, J. Scott Campbell, and Humberto Ramos I've got on the other shelf, actually. I'm less of a fan of his than the other 3 from that publishing arm. I don't know what you call it, cliffhanger. And then there's my Mack Mignola, which is almost half the whole shelf. I've got some toys. These are just big art books. And then the bottom is more of that, but primarily, like this is Ashley Wood. And then, yeah, I guess let's just go into detail right away. So we've got the Adam Warren Empowered collection. These figures are going to make it harder to do this. So these are from the Dark Souls board game. This is my favorite board game. Let's see if I can name them all. Siegmeyer, Solaire, Beatrice, Lautrec, Iron Knight Tarkus, Havel, Mildred, King Jeremiah, and Kirk. Yay, did it. Okay, so let's get those out of the way so I can actually pull some things out. Put those up there and hope I don't forget about them. All right, so, oh, it's gonna be hard with that hinge too. That's the very first issue. I think I've been collecting this since the very first thing. So I've been a fan of Adam Warren's for quite a while, back when he was doing Dirty Pair. So it's a big chunky black and white manga that's like entirely him, written, drawn, inked. I think maybe someone does the letters and someone obviously does the colors for the covers. And then, yeah, I guess I'll just maybe pull out each one. It's volume 2, volume 3, volume 4, 5, 6, 7. I haven't even read the whole series. I think I did 10, and is 12 out? So I think I maybe finished 10, and I have can't remember if I finished 10 or not. And then I have 11. I have 11 somewhere else, maybe 12. I don't know if I bought 12 yet. And I don't remember if it's out here or not. This one, I think this is short stories, some by him and some by some other artists. I guess we'll just take a look at that. Yeah, I don't even recognize that artist. But there's some Adam Warren right there. Yeah, I haven't read that one in full yet, so, but it's I think that, yeah, it's short stories with primarily by other artists, maybe. Diva Gelder. This is volumes 2 and 3. I've got one in my currently reading shelf. I've read volumes 1 and 2, but then it was like multiple years before volume 3 came out. Oh, right, this is right to left. So I'd completely forgotten everything, and so I have to read 1 and 2 again before I get to 3 for the first time. Yeah, I've talked about that before. It's just kind of like a, like maybe 1800s kind of story, adventure. Yeah, what? I don't know. It's good. It's not as good as Blade of the Immortal, but more in line with his kind of that style of storytelling and art than that other story of his. Listen to Me or something. What's it called? It's on this other shelf. Wave, Listen to Me. Yeah. What is this? Okay, Ohikoshi. So that's Hiroaki Samura again, I think. Is this short stories? These stories are told the same bold kinetic, yeah. Short stories by him. And then Emerald. Is this other short stories? 2 books of short stories. Emerald. See, this looks more in line with the Diva Gelder kind of, whatever point in time that is. Blade of the Immortal. This is the whole run. It's a lot of books. I'm not going to pull them all out, but this is a. Oh, so this one was published left to right. Such a good story. These are all, sorry for the sirens if you can hear that. These are all, obviously, as with most manga, it's drawn and written by Hiroaki Samura. He did have an assistant who did helped with backgrounds and stuff, I think. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this. Sure, I can show a few covers. This ended quite a few years ago, even the English translation, so this isn't new news or anything. I think I've read this series a couple times through. I wouldn't mind going a third time. Anyway, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to pull them all out. Looks like I've got some capacity to fit another book in there, though. So that's manga. I'm also conscious that my camera's going to die at about the 1 hour 20 minute mark, so I'm hoping I can do this faster than that, but I am hoping to kind of talk more in this video. All right, let's do this one. The sun exposure is not great on my shelves because this is supposed to be not this color. I guess it's supposed to be kind of this brilliant red on the front, probably, maybe. But I like having this one on display because it's like this weird kind of weird dimensions. There's a Sam Heady book, just a short story, mostly wordless, it looks like. I haven't read this one in a long time. Unfortunately, Sam Heady kind of left the industry entirely. Rumor is he burned out, which is unfortunate. But at least I have a handful of his books, and at least I got most of them signed. But his work is really good, and it's too bad that it won't be continued as it stands currently, at least. It'd be nice if he came back at some point, but I'm not expecting that. Okay, so kind of the big mangas here. We've got Dominion, Conflict 1. Some of these are right to left, some of them are left to right. Dominion 1, and then there's the the main Dominion volume, which is left to right here. I grew up on the anime of this, which was fun. I love the theme song for it. Black Magic, which is a standalone. I think this was one of his, I think this is the earliest of all of these that I have, Black Magic. You can tell too in the style, it's not quite as refined, a little looser, a little more generic anime than Masamune Shirow's iconic style. We've got a few Appleseed books here, ID and Hypernotes. These are both, I think, short stories that accompany the main 4-volume series here. So just more of Appleseed, which is, that's awesome. Some paintings too. Kind of like a combination of a supplemental stories, some artwork, and then some like technical notes, like here, technical notes on, or plot points, or kind of explaining all the military and firearm research and stuff that he does. Ghost in the Shell 1.5, which is same kind of deal. It's short stories, more adventures of, what is it, section 9? Is that what it's called? Yeah, section 9. Haven't read Ghost in the Shell in a while, although Ghost in the Shell in a while. We did recently watch the standalone complex animes recently for the first time, and ooh, those are good. Well, I watched the, what do you call it, the original animated, the OAV, which is, I think it's distillation of the series into a kind of movie format. And they were really good. I wasn't expecting them to be that good. We got Appleseed. This is left to right. Appleseed 1. Appleseed 2. So, Masamune Shirow, what... like, Ghost in the Shell is the most well-known, but I think I kind of like Appleseed better, maybe. My favorite's always officially been Orion, but I recently reread that, and I think it didn't quite live up to my memories. So I think Appleseed might be my favorite. Dominion's departure from his usual kind of style. It's very silly. And then Ghost in the Shell, everyone knows Ghost in the Shell. So that's good. Fun fact, the Dark Horse English translation is censored. It's missing some pages from the original Japanese. Let's see, so this is the Katsuhiro Otomo. So primarily Akira volumes 1 to 6 and the art book, but there's also Domu, which is an excellent standalone. Highly recommended. It's like superpowers in like a suburb neighborhood apartment complex. Things go crazy. Kid with superpowers meets old man with superpowers, and they battle. It's pretty cool. This one, like I mentioned in a previous video, this is The Legend of Mother Sarah. This was written by Katsuhiro Otomo, but drawn by this other guy, Takumi Nagayasu. Very similar style. I don't know if he's trying to intentionally imitate Otomo, or if this is literally how he draws. I don't know if I even looked up more works by him. Maybe I did and I didn't find them. But like I also mentioned in a previous collection video, this is one of like 4 or 5 volumes or so, but for some reason, as far as I know, only this first one, this is pretty beat up, but I got it secondhand. Only this first volume was translated to English, I want to say, or like officially, right? So there are like fan translations online of the later volumes. So if you want to read it, go find those additional volumes as well. Akira is a classic. It's just like flawless in every way. The writing, the plot, the art. There's a reason it's so well known. And I had never, I think I'd watched the anime growing up, but I had never read the comic until an artist friend of mine told me, like, if there's one thing you should read, it's Akira. So on his recommendation, I got it, and oof, that was 20 years ago, but here's the art book. I did a video of this, so you can look that up on my channel too for more. I've got another art book, Genga, down below, but that's much bigger, so that doesn't fit here. Let's see. I've got these Sparrow art books, which are, I guess these are published by Ashley Wood's, or no, these are IDW, it looks like. But they're curated by Ashley Wood, is my understanding. I think this is like his series. So just these teeny little things for various artists. So Rick Berry, who I'm not familiar with, but Ashley Wood is, and it's kind of a pretty similar Ashley Wood style, actually. What do we got next? Oops. Oh, let's not forget about the, this is another Sam Heady, The Gallows News, just a little mini comic. Almost forgot about that, it was tucked away there. Let's put that there. William Ray, so that's Bill Ray from Ren and Stimpy fame. He does kind of like mostly these landscape building paintings. Really good. So Ashley Wood, don't really need to show those, but I'll show the covers. Kent Williams. Oops. I think these are mostly repeats from Kent Williams' other art books, which I also have. And then, yeah, just more Ashley Wood. So, and is this one taller? Oh, this one's slightly taller. That's really weird. Yeah, anyway. Okay, so we got sketchbooks. Here's a Afu-chan book. I think I got this signed by him. I bought this at a convention at his table, so love his work so much. I wonder what he's working on right now, actually, because he was doing that Space Magic one comic. I don't know what he's been doing since. Oh, here's some prints from that Zazaza art book. Oop, try not to destroy that. Here's a comic and a sketchbook by a friend of mine. Let's see if I can flip this open. He's really good. He does like D&D commission illustrations for a living and some other stuff. And I've got he actually released an art book that I did a video of, so you can check that out too, Mike Vi. Oh, here's some more Zazaza prints. Throw those up there. Or are there more? Wow. Oh, we got, stickers. Oh, that's from, what's that webcomic? Totally blanking on the name at the moment. Oglaf, right. Oh, a bookmark from Zazaza. Ooh, I might use that actually. What else is back there? Another Zazaza bookmark. Maybe more, but I won't reach it. Let's see. Let's do that. All right, we got some Sean Galloway books. Nice hardcover format. What's that? Oh. He's got a really distinct style. I really like it. Cool. And here's another one. I think this is his creator-owned thing. This character here. I forget what it's called. It's been years since I've opened these, actually. Here's another Ashley Wood book. Starling. Number 1? I don't know if there was ever a number 2. Oh no, something's falling out. What's that? Oh, I'll use that actually. What else is back there? little postcard or something. Shoot. Oh, that's falling. Okay, throw that up there too. Looks like some World War robot in there. Just random art. Tony Sandoval. I think I just randomly saw this art book on like Stewart-ung. I thought it looked interesting. Was in a mood to burn money and buy something new, I guess. Some Eric Canete art books. Cover 2007, cover 2015, cover 2018 1, 2018 2. Those are all, I did videos for those, so I don't need to open them. Here's a Claire Wendling book. Did I do a video of this one? I don't remember. Oh, I remember I did flip through this actually in one video. Okay. Here's an Adam Warren Dirty Pair book. I think this is the only one I own. These are hard to come by. I think I got this signed by him though. I'd open it, but it's in a sleeve, so. Ugh. Let's see. A Mike Mignola sketchbook. These things are hard to find, my God. It's those collectors. I like collecting books, but I like to read them and look at them, right? A lot of people, like there's that whole culture around buying a comic and I don't even know what you call it. Is it a slab when you put it in like the plastic box just to collect, and it's like graded and it gets it based on the grade. It's worth a certain amount of money and stuff. Like that's cool, I guess, but I'd rather just like read a book, right? That's just how I roll. Here's a Mahmoud Asrar, more commissions. That was from 2017. I mentioned this in another video, The Hunter. This is just something I randomly got at a convention, but it's like this cool pixel art style if you look like really closely. Hard to tell. There you go, yeah. Kind of cool. Like it was drawn in Paint or something like that, Microsoft Paint. Super cool. I like when people mix things up like that. Here's a Canete art book chocolate. Pretty sure I did a video of this. It's got this weird slip cover, so it's a little harder to open up, so I'm not going to bother right now. All right, let's get a bunch of this stuff out. So lots of Rosanna Fung zines. I think she self-prints these like at home or something, because you can tell some of them are stapled in a rush. Taking up space in other stories. Pizza's My Boyfriend. A lot of these are just kind of like one-page strips, it looks like. I haven't looked at those in a while. I've got a couple Adam Hughes sketchbooks, Hissy Fit. Man, he is so good. I wish he'd do more interior work. He's another of those artists like J. Scott Campbell, who does primarily covers these days. And then people collect those covers and they'll buy like 5 of them and just throw them in a box and never look at them. But I'd love to just read actual comics by him. Travis Charest. I don't think he's been doing too much work recently either. He's one of those artists that kind of really takes his time and likes to make everything perfect, and so he was really slow. He did like some Wildcats work, which I've got somewhere. I think I have the serialization. But then he would like take his time for like a single issue, and he wouldn't finish it in time, so someone else would have to fill in, and then not much work of his. But he has a webcomic, Space Girl, you can look up and read online for free. And I don't know if that's even still going, but he there's a print version of that. Anyway, a couple Chris Sanders books. He's really good. I think he's the director and I guess maybe concept artist for things like Lilo and Stitch, How to Train Your Dragon. You can see his style is very much that. I mean, aside from the giant boobs, which is maybe unique to these books. Here are a couple of Haikala art books. She's a Finnish artist. Got these at a convention. Did I get them signed? Maybe not. Actually, I don't think, at the convention where I got these, I don't think she was actually there. I think someone was selling her merch on her behalf. Here's an artist at, I just picked up this book at a convention because I thought it looked really good. Is that same artist? What's the name? Catherine Esquera? Really nice, unique art style. This is Carl Kerschel. This is just a preview for his Isola book. A couple more Rosanna Fungs, Spin the Bottle. This is just a fun book that friend I mentioned before, he did with, so Kagan McLeod, he did Infinite Kung Fu, and he did the She-Hulk MCU show. He did like the watercolor paintings for the credit roll. Together they did this book they called Jailians versus Predator, where they kind of mixed those two IPs together and made a fun story that kind of meets in the middle. I think one of them did one, the other did the other, and then it meets in this big splash art in the middle. Jailians versus Predator. All right, push those back in. Oh, I don't want to. I don't want to open these, but I guess I will. Okay, we got some stickers and stuff. So these are. Let's see. Are these all? Yeah, these are all Becky Cloonan. Oops, shoot, dropped something. Just gonna make sure I don't step on that. All right, these are, so every year she does her own self-published kind of short 32-page comic. So these are the originals of those. She's compiled them in a bound book at least so far. But these are the originals that she's self-printed. So that's Wolves. This is Nebulae with Vasilis Lolos. Here's Demeter. I think that's the name of the ship from Dracula, right? The Mire. I haven't been keeping up with her, actually. I wonder, I think this is the last one I got of hers. So I must be missing some. Got some postcards here. Alex Ross from what's that movie called? Unbreakable. That was a good movie. Just some random stuff I got, I guess, from a publisher that I ordered from. And we did miss there are a couple here we still haven't got to yet. So here's Picsou Volume 1 and 2, and that I've got a hardbound collection of those, so we can look at those later there. This is 5, which is by Becky Cloonan, Fabio and Gabrielle, Raphael Grandpa, and Vasilis Lolos. Raphael Grandpa, he's the one who's doing that Batman book that the final volume has been on hiatus forever. Really looking forward to that. I recently read that, what's it called? Batman Gargoyle, something like that. Gargoyle of Gotham, something like that. Really, really good book. I think it's one of the best Batman stories I've ever read. Drawn and story-wise, I think it's all by him. And I think that's the only, aside from this 5 book, which I got way, way before that, I think that's the only work of his that I'm familiar with. And I saw he posted on Instagram recently saying there's like a progress shot or something, which kind of implied that it's being worked on, it's not forgotten. Here's a sketchbook I got from a convention. What's her name? Vanessa Del Rey, I think. There's this slip thing that keeps it on. Oh my gosh, I'm not even gonna open that. Okay, you know what? Oh, it's a pain to get that off. So she's got some nice work here. I'll put that back on later. Here's another Samhiti goulash. I did a video of this one. He has like a really heavy brush pen style with really thick blackings. Here's another Rosanna Fung. Netflix Party for One. Here's I think I did a video of this. This is just an artifact from the first Hellboy movie. May as well. It's just like this is all by Mignola. Some little sketches and doodles as an accompaniment for the DVD, which I owned. And here's another Samhiti. This is the prologue for the Death Day comic, which is going to be a multi-volume book. But like I said, he dropped out. So he only finished the first one as far as I know, which is really unfortunate. All right. I'm just going to clean up this stuff that I opened and I'll get back to this next shelf. All right, here's the good stuff. This is where I keep a good chunk of my favorite artists. So I like to call this my cliffhanger shelf because I have my Joe Madureira collection here, Chris Bachalo, quite a hefty chunk there, J. Scott Campbell, although I've got more of his books down below, and then actually Umberto Ramos unfortunately got relegated to the other shelf in favor of Eric Canete, who's one of my favorites, and then Mignola keeps pushing people out because he's got quite the library there. I actually missed this shelf and I have to come back to it. You can tell it's kind of like a different time of day now. I entirely missed it and went down somehow. Anyway, so let's get right into it. I'll try and do this quickly because this is already going to be a very long video. So we got the Battle Chasers Collected hardcover. And this collects everything, I believe. So you've got the prologue. You've got issues 1 to, was it 9, I think? Did 10 ever come out? Or was 10 the one that never came out? I don't remember. You've got the variant covers in the back. You've got the sketches and the concept work. I think those are the pages, the never released pages, or like the pages for issue, I think it was issue 10, that just never happened. Like Ludo Lulabi took over and did like a different version of what that story was going to be, I guess. There was this mini story by Adam Warren in the back of, I want to say issue 7 or something. This is the Frank Frazetta Fantasy Illustrated story, which I have the actual original of that too. And then there was like a preview sketchbook thing, and I think all the content from that is also in here. And it actually came with this poster as well. Let's see if I can quickly whip this out. Is that this way? Kind of hard to see with the folds, but I should probably put that up actually. Let's see, I'll put that back. Here, as I mentioned, I've got the very first 2 issues of Frank Frazetta's Fantasy Illustrated. I just happened to see them in a comic book store at the time that they were released, I think. and they were just kind of, well, here, I'll show you. So the second one is the one that the Battle Chasers appeared in, but they were kind of an anthology of short stories by kind of some of the hottest comic artists at the time. I remember Tony Daniel. Here's Joe Giotto, it looks like. There's the Joe Mad Battle Chasers. Yeah, and then covers by Frazetta. I don't remember what the story behind that was, if like he was like kind of curating this, or if some publisher got like the rights to his name and got him just involved to do like the covers or pinups or whatever. I don't know. I don't remember. Here's a PlayStation Magazine, one of many that Joe Mad did for Metal Gear Solid 2. I can't remember if there's something in here from Joe as well. Here's a trade paperback collected edition with, as far as I remember, all the same content as the hardcover. That's probably easier to find, though. I think this one went out of print pretty quickly. This is one of Joe Mad's first projects. It's a 4-issue Deadpool miniseries. Here's some other non-Joe Mad stuff in the back too, I guess. So actually, in the time that I started filming this collection video, because this has been 2 days, Ink Pulp released a podcast episode interviewing Joe Mad, and he was talking about some of this earlier work, the Deadpool and Battle Chasers, of course, but some of his other earlier work too. So I have actually some single issues. Marvel Presents, was it like issues number 87 and 89 or something? One of them had a reverse cover pinup by Joe Mad, and I think he did the cover of the other one. I think those were like his first published Marvel works, or like comic work at all. And then he did Deadpool. In the podcast, they mentioned something about a Excalibur issue that he did, but I don't think I've ever read that. Here's another early work he did. This is Savage Dragon team-ups. He did a single issue in, where's that? I think it's the first one in here, actually. Yeah, here. Pretty cool. That uncanny X-Men style of his. And speaking of, we've got X-Men Visionaries, which is his collected Uncanny X-Men run. Unfortunately, I don't think it's the whole run. It's missing some issues. And I've got I've got a big chunk of the single issues somewhere in a box, but I don't think I have all of the ones that are missing from here. So I may have not even read his entire run. I might have to check that out online. Here is Ultimates 3, and this was kind of a big deal because, so he got famous for doing Uncanny, and then he went on and did his own Battle Chasers, which was his own creator-owned, on Cliffhanger, but then he went and worked in video games for a number of years, and this was the first comic that he did after coming back from that. I mean, he's still in video games, and he's very successful in video games now, but occasionally he'll come back and do some comic work, and this was the first thing he did coming back, and it was a big deal at the time. Here we've got Inhuman Genesis. This has got some non-Joe Mad stuff in it too. A little too much, if you ask me. Let's see, I did videos of all these actually. We got Avenging Spider-Man and Savage Wolverine in here, you can't see. And then this Spider-Man Wolverine kind of collects both of those, I believe, so we'll just do a quick look at that one. And this has also got other non-Joe Mad stuff. Just great work as always. And that's it for Joe Mad. Then we're straight into the Bachalo. So we got Captain Stoneheart and the Truth Fairy, which is kind of a fairy tale book. It comes with this narrated audio drama, which you can read along with. And you've got like all the pencils in the back, and then even the script and everything. It's got a really early 2000s feel with those colors too. We've got the Marvel art of Chris Bachalo. I really like this one because it kind of focuses on his more recent style, which is what really got me into his work. Speaking of, though, this is quite an earlier work of his on Death from Sandman. And this is kind of like his Generation X era stuff, I think, which I'm not quite as fond of. This is a really good book, Witching Hour. This is very in line with his cliffhanger steampunk stuff, kind of similar style. You can kind of really pick out the eras of his work. So we've got steampunk, we've got 2 volumes here, Manometron and Drama Obscura. I'll just quickly go through one of them. The one thing that really stood out about this series, aside from the amazing work, the artwork, is the lettering, actually. I think it was Richard Starking's, and like the main villain especially is like multiple dramatic fonts for like every word, every speech bubble of his. And another thing is Bachalo did some really interesting panel work too. Like he would do like extra decoration and like side stories, kind of panels going along the edge of the pages and stuff that you wouldn't normally see in like a monthly book because of deadlines and stuff. But he just put in that extra detail that a lot of artists don't either have the creativity for, or like the time, or whatever the reason. Let's see, how many of these do we actually want to go through? Maybe just super quick. So, New Age of Apocalypse. I was a big fan of the original Age of Apocalypse run, mostly because of the Joe Mad, actually. What was his? Was it Astonishing X-Men, or no? Something like that. But I haven't, and I've read this one, but I'm not too familiar with what the kind of post-Age of Apocalypse stuff is all about. If it's just a straight continuation of that storyline, or what. Oh, there's some Umberto Ramos in there. There's a bunch of non-Bachalo stuff here. Sorry, I'll try to hold this up in frame better. I keep kind of pointing the camera too high. X-Men, the New Age. Again, lots of non-Bachalo. But even the Bachalo stuff in here is that him? Some of this I'm not so sure. It's just on the older side, so it's not the style I'm as familiar with. Dark Reign. Oh, he does some excellent Venom work. And then also the books where he does his own colors is just oof. He's good when he's doing everything on the page. I wonder if he's any good at writing, actually, because everything else he's just like an all-star at everything. And I think those are my favorite books of his, like the more recent stuff where he does his colors as well as the line work. Because there are certain things he can do to complement his line work. Or like, I imagine his workflow is such that he kind of imagines the image in his head, and I don't know how to put it to words, but the way he fills things out when in a book where he does the colors is, there's the vibe you get that you don't get when someone else does colors over his pencils. I didn't articulate that very well, but hopefully you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. He does a lot of Spider-Man work, and He's really good at it, obviously. Again, I think this is, oh, some of that's not his. I think this is colors, yeah. You can tell from the deep purples. I think that's a scheme he goes with a lot. Expand Revolution. I really like these panels where it's just like a little bit of color and a lot of black and white. It's just great style. Okay. Oh, here's another. Looks like this is from the same series. Yeah, those purples they really stand out in the books where he does his own. So we got 4 volumes of Doctor Strange. Let's just take a quick look at one of them. Again, his own colors. He does some kind of like photo bashing stuff sometimes too for backgrounds, and that's something that I don't think is easy to do if you're just doing the line work. I think I've seen him do it in black and white as well, but I think it'd probably be a lot easier if he's doing the whole page digitally. What is this? Spider-Man, Deadpool. Some other random artists. Here we go. Some more of those panels with no color I really like. And then the 2 most recent books of his that I have, and then I've kind of like lost touch with what he's been up to recently. So that's King Deadpool and then Non-Stop Spider-Man. Those were the 2 most recent. I don't know if he did more for either of these series or if these were maybe just standalones. I don't remember. All right, now I've got just one J. Scott Campbell book here. Everything else, I guess, is down below because probably the Mignola pushed it all out. All right. Oh, this is a heavy book. And, oh, there's some color in there. I was going to say that I remembered this being all black and white. And lots of text, so I guess kind of a history and like behind the scenes of his career. Lots of Danger Girl. He worked on, was it Gen X? I was confused Gen X and, no, Gen 13. I was confused Gen 13 and Generation X. And actually my very first Image comic was that there was a crossover between the 2 Gen 13 and Generation X. It was technically published by Marvel, but I was really excited at the time. Okay, so into the Eric Canete here. Here's a French book, 7 Detectives. I think I tried to read this with Google Translate and I didn't get too far, but the art's excellent. The colors are really nice too, actually. Lou? I don't know the story behind this, but there are some other artists that I like that have done books in this French series, like, crap, what's that? That one artist, I forget his name. But yeah, I don't know the story behind why it's French and wasn't translated to English, but it's used like English-speaking artists. I don't know. Here's an art book that came as like an add-on for the very first issue of Arc Athena, if you backed it on Indiegogo. And this actually, Wildcat's Ladytron, this is actually, I think, the very first book that I recorded on this channel. I like Eric Canete so much that he inspired me to create this YouTube channel entirely, basically. And all of these books I think I've recorded. Although it was so long ago that it was like 720p or something. Like the quality is so bad, because I have been kind of thinking off and on occasionally that I'd like to go back and kind of re-record some of these, because I don't think you could even read the text. The quality's so bad. Really liked these early Marvel books of his, Enter the Mandarin and the Luke Cage book. Yeah, sure, let's just skip to that. So I have done videos of these, and then there's like a whole chunk of non-Canete in the back there too. And then I don't usually like books unless the majority of art is by the artist I'm getting it for. But this is an exception because I'm such a big fan of Canete. So there's like all this crap in the back, and usually I feel like that's kind of like, well, there's some Umberto Ramos. There are some artists in here that I do like, but I feel like it just kind of clutters my collection if there are books that aren't dedicated to a single artist for the most part. And actually, something interesting about this is this pose of Spider-Man is so universally hated. It's kind of up there along with that Rob Liefeld Captain America with the wonky chest. So I don't have a problem with that pose in particular, but that's a funny kind of fact about that issue. We've got the End League Volume 2. Oh, and some bonus Arcathina art. Volume 1 had like 9 pages or something by Canete, and they were colored in such high contrast that you could barely see the line art, so I think I got rid of it. I was so disappointed. Yeah, kind of interesting story in that one. I don't even remember what it was about or anything, but it struck me as kind of unconventional for like mainstream comic stuff. I think this is his first creator-owned book, Run Love Kill. And I really like this. I got the vibe that he was going to do more volumes, but it never kind of materialized. And I really like these chapter headers too, these 3D models. So cool. Oops, I was trying to get another one in there. Let's see. The colors are really good too. Yeah, these like 3D interpretations of his character designs. So cool. Who did colors on this? Leonardo Olia. And the story of this one is very reminiscent of Aeon Flux, which I believe he worked on the animation as like background artist or something like that. Very similar styles if you look at them, like Canete's dynamic animation style and the really dynamic style of the Aeon Flux cartoon. Just great stuff on both sides. We got Arcathina 1 to 3, and I've got the other 3 volumes in the other room. I'll just quickly go through one. So you've got some concept design in the back, and then the art with the colors that we were talking about in the last collection update video that I posted the other day. We got Chrononauts, which is volume 2. It's a sequel to Sean Murphy's book in the Millerverse, and I quite like this one too. The colors are actually excellent in this, and I was just looking at this and noticed that it was Giovanni Nero, who was that artist we noticed in that Big Game book from the previous video, where I also noticed the colors, and I was like, oh, who could that be? I don't, like, colorists aren't typically names that I'm familiar with, like aside from Dave Stewart, because he's such a household name. But I think I got cut off there because my phone ran out of space, so I had to clear some stuff. But I was just saying I'm going to remember that colorist's name, hopefully, because they are excellent. So we've got the DC Universe of Mike Mignola, which is a collection of a lot of his older DC work. Nice that he came back to do this this illustration in his like modern style. Batman Sanctum, and then some like really early stuff before he really went heavy with the blacks and shadows. Let's see. Wolverine Jungle Adventure is a classic. Batman Gotham by Gaslight, which is like a, what's his name? That famous British mass murderer, serial killer. They did an animated movie of this one too, and apparently it wasn't very good, but I remember the book being good. And I remember hearing that people had their hopes up because I think the book has a good reputation, but the movie did not live up to it. Iron Wolf, Fires of the Revolution. I really liked this one. It was like a kind of, if I remember, a steampunk kind of fantasy adventure. And I've never really heard anyone talk about this. Not that I'm like talking to a lot of people about comics, I guess, but yeah. Fafhrd and the Great Mouser. This is just straight up one of my favorite comics, like, of all time. It's an anthology of short stories, I believe, of these characters, and I think they're based on this famous fantasy author. Like, he does novels of with these characters. So, really liked that one. I reread that one from time to time. Alien Salvation was really good. And I like how these ones too have kind of like the, again, modern illustrations. So this one was done like, I want to say 80s or 90s, but this is like a very modern style of his, this cover. And again, same with this one, Aliens. Actually, yeah, so if you look inside, this is more like a little more his earlier style. But I actually had 2 copies of this one. One of them I think had more, a few other like short stories in the back or something. So I gave that to a friend because I didn't realize that I had bought it twice. Cosmic Odyssey. The Amazing Screw-On Head and Other Curious Objects. Short stories, I think, of all sorts. We've got Hellboy, so we got the first 5 volumes, and then personally I didn't feel it kind of kicked off until like around here, where his style really became what we recognize now as Mike Mignola, and what like other artists have gone on to copy to great success, like Gabriel Ba and others like him. I do like the stories of the first ones, but they're a lot more kind of like action comic, whereas the more recent ones, they're more stoic and like still and brooding, and these are like a lot more line art focused, and these are a lot more like heavy shadows and shapes, and anyway, yes, I've got that. My thing with Hellboy is I only really collect the books if they're mostly by Mignola. So if there's a book that's by some other artist, and Mignola does like a cover or like maybe a half an issue or something, or a little side story in the back, I don't collect those, just because, again, it just feels like clutter to me. Like, no offense, just in my taste. The exceptions are, I collected the Duncan Fegredo books because he's so good at imitating Mignola's style. And I have some BPRD books by Gabriel Ba that we'll probably get to later. Because again, he's very good at that Mignola style. We got Hellboy in Hell and Other Stories, the Artisan Edition. So these pages in the back have text, but the majority, I think that was some extra stuff. Was that from that's from like early Hellboy, and then this is actually Hellboy in Hell, where it's minus the text, it's just the inked art. Very pretty. We got Bram Stoker's Dracula, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he actually did concept art for this live action movie. Am I misremembering that? I remember Guillermo del Toro was doing a touring museum exhibition for his various works, and of course he's teamed up with Mignola for the Hellboy movies, but then I think for some other things as well. And that was maybe mentioned there. I can't remember. Was Guillermo del Toro involved with Dracula? I don't know. Or was that before his time? First 20 years of Hellboy covers, I think. Primarily covers. Looks like it, yeah. And then this is actually the very first Mignola book that I ever got. I just randomly saw it in my local comic shop. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know what Hellboy was. I'd maybe heard of Hellboy, but had like never read it or anything. And just loved the art. This one's a bit beat up because it was just like sitting on a shelf that other people had manhandled, but yeah. And then we've got the quarantine sketches, which are his drawings during COVID. And I think he donated or like a big chunk of the money from the sales of these drawings to a charity, I forget what. But these are like classic cartoon characters and cereal mascots and just random monsters and like vegetables and crap. What was that? Masters of the Universe too? Skeletor. Yeah. Really cool stuff. All right, we're down another shelf now. Just this in-between shelf. You can see in the back we've got a Bloodborne art book, a Dark Souls art book. I'm pretty sure I did flip-throughs of those. And these are Funko Pops of the characters from Disney's Gargoyles, which is a show that I watched growing up and really, really liked. So I don't have too many Funkos, but when I saw this, I was in Copenhagen and I saw these in a store and I was like, oh, I need to own all of them. So I did. All right, so here we got art books. This is like the oversized shelf, so anything that doesn't fit on other shelves for the most part, and just these smaller things are just, they don't have another home at the moment, so I still need to do, like, it's a constant struggle to reorganize things. Like when I buy a new like Bachalo book or something, I have to shift stuff around, and I think that's why Umberto Ramos had to leave this shelf, was because he's very prolific. Bachalo's really prolific, and there wasn't room for both of them as they were both releasing new books. So I had to move Ramos off to the other shelf. So yeah, and like a single book can just disrupt the entire collection because I don't know what to do with it. All right. So in the back, we've got these two big books here. This is like this Chinese publishing thing. Series? I don't know if I ever even looked up the whole series, but I must have done videos of these. This is Kent Williams' world famous contemporary painter series. Well, this one's Nicholas Uribe. Does it say anything about the series? Oh, I should look that up actually. Although I think it's been a while since these were published, so they might not be available at all anymore. I gotta zoom out. They may not be available at all anymore. I wonder what the context is of this. I could do some translation too of these Chinese characters. Ooh, this one's significantly heavier than that other one. Nicholas Uribe did a Kickstarter for an art book of his, and I foolishly did not back it, and I kind of wish I did, although it's probably because for ordering books to Canada, especially Kickstarter and like Indiegogo, the shipping is often like significantly more than the book itself. It's just, unless it's something I really, really want, it's hard to justify that cost. So yeah, so I didn't get that Nicholas Uribe book, but I really want it. So I might do some eBay digging sometime to try and find it. I don't think I've done a video of this. This is just a comic called The Babysitter by Andy Restaino. I've had this for decades. Like when I was in junior high, I think I got this. It's really cool. Really cool. Kind of like graffiti style, I guess, art style. And when I was drawing in my early years in like high school, and I went to art school for undergrad, I imitated this style a lot. I was really into that. Like even just this, like these stretchy arms and stuff, that was like something that I did a lot, probably inspired by Andy Restaino. Here's that Katsuhiro Otomo art book I was talking about. Darn it, look at the fading on the spine from the sun. Look, you can see how bright the sun is right now. It's not a great spot, but I live in a small condo, so I don't have many options for where I can, oh, this is heavy, for where I can keep stuff. I've done a video of this, but I'll just do a flip through. Lots of great art. He has a comics anthology that I would love to own, but is it only in French or something? I wish I could read his. Maybe I'll look up online his short stories. I remember seeing them at some point and wishing I could have a printed like English collection, because my preference is always to have like a physical book. But if it's something I can't read in another language, then often I have to resort to reading online or finding a fan translation or something. Andrea Cofrancesco. I think I've done a video of this. I've got a couple of his art books. He's really good. He does a lot of board game artwork. What was the one he did? Because this is his older style here, with these kind of really vibrant colors. I can't remember what the board game is, but it's very, like, you see the board game, you're like, oh, that's Andrea Cofrancesco. Like it's very identifiable. Oh yeah, here's the next book, where his style evolved quite a bit, right? So this doesn't look anything like this first book, and this is the style of his that I prefer. This more recent stuff, I love it. It's so good. I think is he French? He's in Europe somewhere. I want to say French, but I'm not sure. Oh, I have 3 of his art books. Completely forgot. And this one evolves the style even further, although I think it goes a little too hard. I'm not a huge fan of like this profile face, but the interior's got a lot of same stuff. But that oh yeah, I think this might be straight from that board game, not the Dragon Ball, obviously. Oh, no, that's Street Fighter or something. Yeah, I can't remember what that board game's called. But yeah, actually, and I think he's got, like, it looks like his stuff is evolving a bit, changing style, but I think he's actually reverted back, because when I see his art on Instagram regularly, it looks more like the style from this the middle volume. All right, we've got some more Masamune Shirow. These are his art books. Intron Depot 1, Intron Depot 2, Intron Depot 3, and like I said in the previous video, he has more of these, but they start to go more digital, I think, even in this 3rd volume. Maybe not so much yet. He starts to like color in digital and like do 3D models and stuff heavily from the 4th volume onward. And I'm not a big fan of that, like, of his style in that format. I'm more into his traditional 2D, like pen and ink and watercolor style. So I stuck to the 3 volumes and haven't gone further. He does a lot of erotica stuff too. He's like a whole bunch of series that I don't have any of them, but I think they're probably pretty hard to get. All of his stuff is pretty hard to get, except the mainstream, like Ghost in the Shell, is always constantly reprinted. Appleseed, the same. Here's another Hiroaki Samura. This is the Art of Blade of the Immortal. I've done all these major art books that I have. I've done videos of them. So that's good. Here's Icons, The Art of Jim Lee. Oh, that's really heavy. I don't think I'm gonna. Well, let's see. Oh my gosh. There's a lot of cover work, but yeah, see, this is the kind of art book I'm not as fond of. I see these sketches, that's what I'm more into. Or even just standalone illustrations as opposed to cover work. Yeah, some good watercolor stuff. Action figures that were based on his drawings. Oof. And yeah, here's kind of the same thing. I love Adam Hughes. I love his work so much, but he's one of those artists that's now known more for his cover work, hence the title of this. So this is primarily his covers and kind of the sketches and the process showing. So I like that part a lot. And actually he's so good that I don't mind looking at his covers, because they're top tier. I don't know how someone can be this good. It's mind-boggling. Like his drawings are like flawless. Like stylistically there are some things. He does this weird thing where he draws like really, really narrow hips on his female characters, which is kind of weird, and a lot of people kind of don't like that. But in terms of like the anatomy and everything, it's just other than that, he's just like perfect at drawing, is all I can say. Frank Frazetta Icon. These are hard to get, especially since he passed away quite a few years ago now. This one's got a lot of words. Yeah, I'm more of a fan. I've got a smaller art book of his that's just more focused on the illustrations, and I wish that one was this bigger format, because it's more like this size, but it's less about the words and more about the pictures. Here's a art book by James Stocco. I actually bought this from him directly at a convention, so there's probably a sketch. Oh yeah, there's a sketch he did for me. I think must have done a video of that one. Here's Telos Colossal. This is the hardcover collection of Mike Wieringo's Telos comic. He unfortunately passed away quite a few years ago as well. This is really like a 2000s, like really just the coloring and the style, the drawing style and everything. It's a very distinctive era of comics coloring that it's a little hard to revisit, just because of how really saturated everything is. I did a recent collection update video with all the books I've recently got since the last one, and I mentioned this one in here and how it's shrink wrapped, even though I've done a video of it because I had to. It was all beat up when I got it, and I had to return it for a new copy. So because I'd already done a video and looked through it, I haven't opened it yet, and I might not, because I've got the contents on video on my channel. But Akihiko Yoshida, he's brilliant. He's so good. I don't know if there is, maybe there is. I would love an art book of his that's just art, not necessarily associated with any one property, but just his art, So this is The Art of Tactics Ogre. Or like, Vagrant Story is one of my favorite games. I mentioned this in the video I just uploaded before this one too, which is in the same universe as Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy 12. It's Evilise Alliance is the team that worked on those. I would love the art of that, or even Final Fantasy Tactics, or just like all of that together. Here's Cat by Hitchum Hubchi. I kickstarted this one. I'm not sure, does he do comic work? I just randomly found him on Instagram and I follow him, but I don't know, maybe he does concept work for games or something, I'm not sure. Here's Zazaza. We've done a video of this before. And we had there were some postcards and prints up above that kind of fell out of some other books. That's good. Like I said in a previous video, I have 2 copies of that one, but they're both a bit beat up. Art of Phil Tomato. It's nice to see his process too, actually, on Instagram and on YouTube, I think, because he does a lot of artists kind of hide the fact that like hide their references, and they kind of make it seem like they're doing everything from imagination, but it's usually you're working from references in some capacity, maybe not all the time, not all illustrations, but right? And so in his videos, he kind of shows you that he's starting from a photo. He'll even do some like photo bashing to put together a scene, and then he'll draw over it and that kind of thing. Similar to, well, Ross Tran, he does it in a different way. Where's his art book actually? It should be, I think it's on the shelf below. Where he'll do this, so he's really big on YouTube. He does really fun videos, I recommend. He'll do this thing where he'll like take a photo of a hot dog, and then he'll try to use those same colors in an illustration. So that's a fun way of doing it too. Everything is its own reward. These are the newspaper comics from this Paul Madonna artist from San Francisco. I think these are printed in the local newspaper there or something like that. He does these amazing architectural drawings, which I really, really like. Here's more Mike Waringo from that Marvel art book series. So this is kind of more what I'm into, these pencil sketches and loose stuff that aren't necessarily tied directly to, I guess those are roughs for page, like pencils for pages, but that's more interesting to me than a final product or especially covers. Covers often feel very kind of like sterile, like they're really, really trying to fit into this formula, a specific formula, as opposed to just being like, art for art's sake, kind of. So this is not the same series, but another Marvel art series. This is Ed McGuinness, who I really like. This looks like a lot of cover focused stuff. Heroes. This is a 9/11 tribute with art from all sorts of people. The sketchbook of Loish. Sure, some of these are hard to hold while looking through a camera. And I specifically like the whole thing I'm talking about, where I prefer like rougher work as opposed to like finished cover stuff. That's the reason why I specifically got the sketchbook of Loish, as opposed to, she's got another art book called The Art of Loish, and that's more like her finished stuff. And to me, I might get that one eventually too, but of the two, I was more interested in the sketchbook, just because that rougher style where you get more of a feeling of the process of an artist and stuff, that kind of appeals to me more. Art of Haikala, this is a book I kickstarted. Ooh, it's got like a like this sheen on specific spots, and it's on the back. It's these books are kind of like it's recessed a little bit, you know, so there's like a texture to it. That feels really nice. A lot of these art books, I guess this is something I was criticizing of collectors who throw things in a box and just never look at them again. But a lot of the time, because I have so many art books, I'll do the video for YouTube, and then rather than pick up the book and look at it, it's easier for me to just review a book on my own YouTube channel than flipping through the actual physical book. Just because some of these are a bit unwieldy to hold, right? Or like I want to avoid damaging them, or, you know, that kind of thing. Hyungtae Kim. This is a book, oh my God, I was looking for this book for decades. And before I moved to the current city I live in right now, I had emailed one of the comic shops here that's quite well known, asking for like with a whole list of books that I wanted. And looking back, I couldn't afford those things at the time, but I like sent out this whole list, and this was one of the books that I was really looking for. And I think the price for it at the time was like $200 they were asking. But so I never got the book because it was too expensive, but then I'd always wanted it forever and ever. And I don't remember where I eventually found it. Maybe this was just Amazon, actually. This might be a reprinting. But so I was a big fan of Hyungtae Kim. And then I knew he did some video game stuff, and I think there's some concept work for that in this book. I don't remember if I have another of his books. But then he's the director of the Stellar Blade video game, which came out just a couple years ago, which was very well received and it's very good. And you can kind of tell it's his game, just like the way he draws his female characters is very, very similar. I played the demo of that game, and I plan to buy the whole game at some point because it was really fun. It's really good, looks great, and it's my jam. It's like it's a Souls like a Dark Souls like game, and Dark Souls is my favorite game. So plan to play that at some point. Satoshi Matsura. I've done this very Mack Mignola. Monster designs for, is this just for fun, or is this for I don't know if this is for a game or something. I know he does a lot of artwork for board games and stuff, so this might be the same. So this is the Art of Casidra. This is one of my, I don't know if favorite artists. I really like his style, and my own drawing style I've modeled on his quite a bit. So just the way he does kind of like his outlines and then kind of carves into them with other colors. And I'm not sure how to explain it, but if you can kind of look at the way the line work is and then the colors kind of overlap it a little bit, that's, ever since I started drawing digitally, that's kind of how I work too. And obviously I'm not nearly as good as Casidra, but that's one of the styles I strive towards. This is Ben Caldwell. I like his art quite a bit. But again, his is, the majority of the content he posts on Instagram is like sketchwork. And I almost prefer that to this kind of finished, or like the comic work of his that I've seen. Living with Viola by Rosanna Fung. It's a good, touching story. I just showed this in my other video, Age 16 by Rosanna Fung. It's a coming of age autobiography kind of thing. Here's the Star Wars Cinestory comic. So this is the Star Wars Rebels TV show in like frame by frame comic form. Last time I did a video and included this, I said I hadn't read it yet. Still haven't read it. But I got this actually at a dollar store for like $3 or something, and it was just like, there's no way I was not going to buy it. It's like this big honking book too. Like the pages are pretty bad quality. The printing is not good, but for $3 it's hard to pass up. And the show, like I've said before, is excellent. Some of the best, like later seasons, some of the best Star Wars that has ever happened. Let's see, Lore Olympus. It's just a webcomic by, what's her name, Rachel Smythe or something? Yeah. This is the Danger Girl trade paperback from J. Scott Campbell's original Cliffhanger series. Really good stuff. I wish he'd do more like interior work like this, because this was so excellent. But now he just does cover work for the most part. Here's short stories, Danger Girl. This is mostly not him, so this is Phil Noto. Is this all Phil Noto? Oh, maybe it's all Phil Noto. And then, oh, is this Art Adams, looks like? And then I think there's a little bit by J. Scott at the beginning. Oh, Joe Chiodo, looks like. Maybe just a, oh, I thought there was J. Scott Campbell in here. I guess not. All right, oops. What's this one? Oh, maybe this is what I was thinking of, gallery edition. So here's some cover stuff and, oh, other non-J. Scott Campbell art in here as well. Is that Michael Turner? Is that Michael Turner? Yeah, Michael Turner. He passed away a bit ago too. Joe Quesada. Oh, that was David Mack, it looked like. Oh, Roberto Ramos, Joe Madureira. I have this single issue. There was a time when when I first discovered Joe Madureira, and I was, like I was saying, he was part of the reason I got into art and comics in the first place. I had a subscription at the local comic shop where my instructions was just anything with Joe Madureira art, get it for me. So I had all the variant covers. I had like the poster that I showed at my desk in the previous video. All that stuff. This is Mike Fye. This is a friend of mine. These are his Dungeons and Dragons commission illustrations. He is so prolific. Wow, look at this. I can't remember if he's doing another one. I forget. What's this? Oh yeah, I mentioned this is an issue of Time magazine that's got a J. Scott Campbell Spider-Man illustration in it somewhere, but I can't seem to find that without, is that it? Oh yeah, there it is. Did I go out of my way to get this? I don't remember what the story is behind me owning that issue. Oh, here's more J. Scott Campbell. I forgot I had this one actually, because it's not, I guess I have J. Scott Campbell stuff in 2 different locations. Yeah, here's another one. I think there's a series of these books by him, Code Orange. I think there's like Code Green, Code Blue. I think there's like 3 of these. Again, super expensive, so I think I saw 3, but only got 1 of them for budgetary reasons. All right, just gonna do a quick cut before the next shelf. All right, last shelf on this unit. So this is Ashley Wood, and this is only like half my Ashley Wood collection. The rest is on that oversized IKEA Kallax shelf that I mentioned in a previous video, and I've shown it in previous videos as well. I guess let's just pull things out. It's nice that this one fits like right behind the hinge, because it really sucks when I have like an oversized book that just comes out a little bit and I have to rearrange things so that nothing gets damaged. Anyway, so Sincerely Fanta. This might be, well, the very first Ashley Wood book I ever got was this first Pop Bot volume, I think. I just randomly saw it in a comic book store. And I was like, I have to have it. It's so pretty. And just like he has, his style is very unique, but he's got multiple styles that he works in. Like he's got this, like comic line art style. He's got, yeah, like that. I guess the majority, and then he's got like this digital paint style. Is this digital? It's hard to tell sometimes. This one looks traditional. This one, I guess maybe that is all traditional. Yeah, like these ink washes maybe, and then these clean, digitally colored, and then also like these, looks almost like oil painting. I know he does a mix of digital and traditional. Sometimes it's hard to tell, or like, yeah, anyway, so this is the very first Ashley Wood book that I got, and I recognized him as having done the covers of Spawn, but I'd never read Spawn before. I never owned Spawn. I must have made that connection maybe after the fact that I bought that book. And then this was maybe the second book of his ever that I got. I don't remember. Maybe I picked this up from the same comic shop. And then at that point, I kind of started collecting all of his work that I could. And I'm a big fan. I usually cite him as my favorite artist, but Joe Madureira is technically my favorite because he got me into art. So I'm not going to open these because they're very heavy. And I've recorded all these on my channel. So that's Scintilla Finale and Grand Finale. So what he would do is, for this series, he had like Scintilla Fanta, and he would have Grand Fanta, I think. But then he would release a premiere version where Scintilla Finale is all the same art from Scintilla Fanta and then some. And same thing for Grand Finale. So early on, he was doing the same like repeat art stuff, but there was kind of more of an excuse for this one. It was just like like the premiere version of an art book. Whereas now like every art book has repeat art from previous books. Here's the art of Metal Gear Solid, another of my favorite video game series. So when he went and illustrated comics for the first two games, I was ecstatic. This is his digital style where he does line work, but he also does like this kind of these digital paintings mixed in. And I've always loved that about his work, that he has like these multiple styles that are all equally beautiful and that he can mix together that makes this like this visual juxtaposition that really keeps things interesting, as opposed to if everything was all line art or everything was all digital paints or, So big fan of his Metal Gear work. He also did, there are a couple Metal Gear Solid games that came out on PSP. I think there's Peace Walker, which is pretty well known, but there's also one called Portable Ops, I think, and he did storyboard art for both of those. So the cutscenes for both games is just original art by Ashley Wood, which is super cool. You can go and find those. You can also get, I think also on PSP were digital graphic novel versions of these two comics, where it's got like the sound effects and the voice acting and stuff, but with kind of like moving versions of the illustrations from these books. So Metal Gear, I opened Pot Pot. This Pot Pot Volume 2, just more of the same. The story in these is, I've read it multiple times, and I'm not sure that it makes any sense. Spawn, Book of the Dead. It's a lot more text than I remember being in this. Lore, I don't remember if I must have done a video of this, but this is written by T.P. Louise, which I think that's his wife. I'm not 100% sure. There's 2 volumes, And it's like these illustrations and comic stuff, but it's also interspersed with like pages and pages of just text like that, just walls of text. Actually, I remember it being a lot more text than what I'm seeing right now. Should reread these at some point. A lot of his works have been optioned for film. So he was expecting a World War robot film. I think Lore was in the works to be either a show or a film. I feel like there was more too. Hellspawn. This kind of his much, much older style when he was working on Spawn stuff. But I think that's kind of what started to make people take notice was the cover work he did on the Spawn series. Doomed. What was this one? Was this just short stories? Or something? I don't remember. Tank Girl, which is primarily illustrated by this guy, Rufus Dayglow, I think is his name. I think maybe Ashley Wood did the layouts and Rufus drew over them. But you can tell it's like somewhat reminiscent of Ash's style, but not the same at all. But like some of it, like this is Ashley Wood right here. This is Ashley Wood, so maybe he did some of it, but then you can see the majority. This is not Ashley Wood. Zombies versus Robots complete. Shadow Man. This is like his old style. I don't think yeah, that's my bookmark, so I never finished reading this one. Ashley Wood Fall Pelican. This was nice because it's like on this cheap paper, so he was able to publish an art book that didn't break the bank. I think it was like $50 or something, as opposed to a lot of his books are more in the like $100 to $200 range, which is it's tough on the budget. I don't actually have a budget, but I should have one. Zawa Artworks. Here's another cheap Chinese published, I think, for some reason. Book of his. I guess he does a lot of like toy shows and stuff in Hong Kong, so that makes sense actually. Or is that Chinese or is that Japanese? I'm not. Ashley Wood Reader. It's a nice cover. It's volume 1. Volume 2 is like twice the size. A lot of, I guess a lot of his later books are focusing more on like the line art than his painting work. Here's World War Robot Complete. I think, is that what it's called? Complete? That Pelican, here's another cheap, like newsprint kind of. Oh, I love this artist. Nurjan Bakaliev. I don't even know how to like articulate what it is that appeals to me about this. It's just like the way he is able to do these 2D drawings that look like 3D renderings is like his understanding of light and shadow is just so impressive. And then the way he stylizes the female characters, like the way he does, like here, like I don't know how to even explain this, like the thick chunky thighs and the tiny little butt and the tiny waist. Somehow he makes that work, aesthetically, but also anatomically. Like he can create these figures in 3D space and have them work and look great and so unique. Like, it's really, really impressive. I love his work so much. Here's Koteri Inc.'s art book. Did a video of that. Oh, here's that smaller Frank Frazetta that I was talking about. I remember it being primarily art, but yeah, it looks like it. A lot of sketch work too, which is... Actually, for Frazetta, I do prefer his paintings. What's this one? Oh, this is that Input Woe book. That a publisher sent me by mistake. It's still a good book though. Here's Eliza Ivanova, raw material. She's really good. She works at Pixar, I think. I'm not sure entirely what she does for a living, if it's concept art or, I don't know. Original Dragon Ball complete illustrations. I'm more a fan of the original Dragon Ball than Dragon Ball Z. And I think there's a lot more interesting designs in the original as well, as opposed to focusing on just like big muscly guys that all kind of look the same but with a different hair color. The characters in the original, I think, feel a little more unique, have a bit more character to their designs and stuff. Here's, what's his name? Mateja Petkovic. It's incredible digital paintings. Sorry, it's hard to hold at the right angle. I kickstarted this one too. And there's came with some prints, so that's also tucked away here. Should probably frame some of these or something. All this stuff that I kind of have jammed in here that I forget about, all these like bonus content things. Here's, oh, this is heavier than I remembered it. Kim Jung-gi, one of his last art books before he sadly passed away. So when I get that M Fellows exhibition book, that'll be my second, or no, I have a comic of his as well. But I guess, so one of 3 books that I'll have is his. Kabuki by David Mack. This series is incredible. So the first volume, this was his art school thesis project, I think, the first volume. So it starts out like a standard kind of action espionage comic, and then it delves more into kind of more this psychological drama, sort of. Not even sure. But the art style evolves so... Oh, this one isn't by him. This is by, what's the artist's name? I forget his name. Anyway, this is written by Mack, but illustrated by some guy, that guy who does Adam Warren-like art. I forget his name. Yeah, his name is on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. So then, yeah, as soon as you get into like this volume, it's just like this visual poetry. It's just incredibly beautiful, and every volume gets more and more so until the final volume, The Alchemy. And it's so pretty. And it's so well written. I did an art project in high school, and it was I kind of imitated David Mack's style. I didn't copy anything, but I imitated kind of like that, putting the poetry and kind of multimedia collage kind of stuff. It's the only thing I think I got 100% in. And initially I didn't get 100%, but then the teacher told me, he brought me in one day and he was like, I keep looking at this over and over and I can't get over how good it is, and I'm bumping your grade up like after the fact, which is really cool. I'm running out of time. I have an appointment to go to, so hopefully I can finish up these last few books. Here's a Daredevil volume that he worked on, really, really good as well. Here's an art book. This is this primarily Kabuki? I can't remember. I have two art books of his. One is primarily Kabuki. Oh yeah, the Reflections. Is that the Kabuki one? And then this one is this also Kabuki, or is this? I've got some more prints in there, not sure what, don't have time to check. Jane the Fox and Me by Isabel Arsenault. I love her style so much, like these kids' books, but just brilliant. And then this last one is The Art of Darksiders, the video game, which was Joe Madureira's, was it his first game? I think he had a game that didn't actually end up being finished, but so he did concept for this, and there's some Joe Mad art in here, but the binding is just has deteriorated so much that as soon as I open this book, the pages just fall out. So I'm not going to open it, which is too bad because I'd love to show more Joe Mad art. But yeah, otherwise for now, that's the first shelf. This took me a long time, so I'm probably going to have to do the second shelf and the satellite shelves in a different, maybe not, I'll probably compile them all in one video, but it'll be on a different day, maybe even next week. So yeah, we'll continue there.